our campaign. We're live here at the News 3 WSIL studios. We were in the conference room and now we are moved into the lobby. We're just taking over the place tonight. If you are just joining us for the first time, we have been highlighting nonprofits throughout tonight, letting people know which ones that might tug at their heart, and might fit for who they want to associate with, who they want to donate with, and who they want to partner with. So every one of these nonprofits throughout Southern Illinois are making an impact, whether it's through veterans, whether it's through kids, whether it's through feeding them. All of them are very crucial and services that we need right here in Southern Illinois, and they need our help. And what better way to do that than do it on Giving Tuesday and working with Give SI through the Southern Illinois Community Foundation. I get the honor to have a person that I've known for a while and who has a nonprofit and is a much better speaker than I at the very end of the day. But I'm here with Les Odell with the Foster Family Resource Center of Southern Illinois. Welcome, Les.
Thank you. Good evening, Tom. Good to see you.
So I can tell you, I don't think we've had too many foster family foundations on here. So let me know what you guys are doing and what you hope to have as far as an impact in our region.
Sure. Our organization has been around since very late 2018. My wife and I established the Foster Family Resource Center of Southern Illinois based on the fact that we're passionate about foster care and fostering to adopt, but knew that given that we're not as young as we used to be, we were reaching the end of our journey as foster parents. We've been blessed to adopt 3 little boys that we fostered each from birth. They are now 4, 8, and 11. And so we felt like, you know what, we're not going to be able to foster anymore, but we want to help. And so what we did was establish an organization with the sole purpose of meeting the immediate needs of other foster parents when they get a new placement. Any foster parent will tell you about the time the phone call came and said, hey, we're bringing you a child or children. And your first thought is, oh my gosh, I've got to run to Target. I've got to go to Walmart. I've got to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to get the things I need to take care of these children. Now, in many cases, DCFS or the agency might provide you with a crib or a stroller or something like that. But that's it. The rest of it's on you. And so we established the Foster Family Resource Center to fill in the gap, to stand there and to provide the items that parents need to take care of a child. Because in many cases, the child will bring things, but all too often, in the case of illicit drugs, meth, that kind of thing, the child comes with absolutely nothing. And so what we do is completely free of charge, and we provide families with clothing, shoes, car seats, beds, cribs, bedding, personal care items, formula, a variety of items, so they can welcome that child in their home and concentrate on making them feel loved and comfortable, rather than worrying about how are we going to meet the needs just of dressing them and clothing them and getting them from point A to point B in a car safety seat. And so we do that in 22 counties in Southern Illinois.
So, Les, you talk about helping the immediate needs, and I think some people think, well, if you're on the list, you're ready and you're probably just waiting. But the thing is that you are waiting, and other things, life happens. You need to spend money on other things. Maybe you move. But one of the things, a couple of years ago, actually it was probably 4 or 5 years ago, I helped raise money for another nonprofit that worked with foster kids, and they brought something to my attention that I was not aware of. Is there's a lot of needs and services that are needed after you get this child, and in my mind, it's like everybody lives happily ever after, but apparently, Les, that doesn't always happen, and they need
No.
resources and services after. Are some of those things that you help with some of the families that are already established as foster families?
We do. We have a couple of programs. One that I'm most proud of is through some grants from the Delta Dental of Illinois Foundation and from the Illinois State Dental Society. We're able to provide dental care for foster children. A foster child will come to you with a state medical card, but if anyone's ever tried to make an appointment with a dentist who taking that card, they're very hard to find those dentists. And when you do find one, it's almost impossible to schedule an appointment right away. And so we're able to cover those costs at any Southern Illinois dentist. Um, you know, anywhere in and cover those costs so they can go see any dentist they want. So a family can go to the dentist they're familiar with, the one they're comfortable with. We also provide just a way of connecting foster families together. We have to remember that foster children are in the system by no fault of their own. And they come to folks because there's been trauma or neglect or abuse. And so many times these children are going to need extra trips to the doctor. They're going to need special dental care. They're going to need therapy. They may be very sickly because they, for instance, were drug exposed in utero. So they have a lot of things that's on their plate, and suddenly these foster parents have to do all of this. Um, you say, well, you're waiting and maybe you should have stuff. Often you don't know what kind of child or children you're going to get. When we first started in the foster care world, we said, okay, we want an infant. And our first foster care placement was a 4-year-old. Well, certainly the supplies you have on hand to serve an infant are not going to work with a 4-year-old. And so you really can't be too prepared. And so we want to just be there to stand in the gap for those folks. The other thing you need to keep in mind is if you get an infant, they can't go to daycare for 6 weeks. So suddenly you've got a foster mom and a dad with all kinds of issues, expenses of childcare, or maybe staying out of work for a while. And so we just want to ease that burden. Our big goal is if we can help one family, uh, discover the joy of foster care, it's worth what we do.
So that brings us to today, the Give SI campaign on raising money and letting people know who you are and what your needs are. What do you plan to do with the money, the funds that you raise tonight or today with Give SI?
You know what? It will allow us just to continue to serve foster families in 22 counties, and I'm talking about basically from Effingham south is the area we serve.
Wow.
What we do, some of our own fundraising and have some fundraisers, obviously during the pandemic. We've had a couple of years where those were very small or couldn't be done at all. Many folks may not know it, but the Two Bugs and a Bean Children's Resale Boutique in Carbondale is actually part of our organization, and proceeds from the store go to help us do what we do. However, again, retailers, particularly small retailers, have suffered during the pandemic, and so we're just trying to continue to provide these services, to provide outreach and to let folks know, and to be able to do what we want to do. Obviously, we help the best we can, but we can't do everything we need to do, and we do look at things on a case by case basis. So maybe a family has a special need. There was a story about a year ago. We had a family who had just gotten a foster child. Their stove went out. DCFS is saying, you've got to have a working stove or you can't keep the child. We bought them a stove. And I don't know if you priced any appliances, but kitchen appliances are not cheap. And so every little gift, no matter how small, helps us care for foster children. And because we're here to make a difference. And Tom, if I may, for those of you that don't know, I'm also a reporter with the Southern Illinoisan, and I wrote a column in today's paper about adoption and foster care. And I tell the story about how someone once told me, you're not just changing that one life, you're changing generations. And that's really what our organization is all about.
There's been a couple of discussions today on these Facebook Lives about breaking the cycle of generations and helping. And, you don't really think about that until you said, I didn't think about that until you said how much that it contributes to foster adoption, to bringing in, being a foster family. But man, wow, that is powerful, because you're right. Making a difference, a positive impact, starts with one person, one family, and breaking that. And hopefully we can get more people to not only be foster families, but to know that they are not alone. They have resources. So you said that article is in today's?
It was in today's edition of the Southern. There's an opinion column. It's part of our National Adoption Month coverage. And to me, often adoption and foster care go hand in hand, because in many cases, children in your care for foster, we may eventually become eligible for adoption. And obviously foster parents are among the first who would consider doing that. That's how we got all 3 of our little boys, was adopting them after fostering. So and it just kind of shares our story and talks about the need and how it's more than just a 1-month consideration. We don't need to be talking about adoption just 1 month a year. For some of us, it's an everyday thing.
And what better advocate than you and your wife on foster families. I have loved over the years to see your love, your compassion, and mostly just your drive to inform and let other people know about what you can do, what services are out there. So if you guys are watching and you are moved, like many of us today, but you're specifically moved with Les and the Foster Family Resource Center of Southern Illinois, please consider donating to them. I will tell you, and I can promise you this. I've known Les for quite some time. This money is going to absolutely, one, go to help benefit foster families, but they are going to make sure that it goes to a very deserving, needing family, and there is no better advocate, I'm telling you, than Les and his wife for this. So please consider donating. You can do that by calling 618-956-9187, or you can go online to www.sicf.org/give SI, and you can go to the donate page, scroll down, and look for Foster Family Resource Center of Southern Illinois. I've asked many people this question, but I'm interested to hear what you have to say about this. What are some, if you could pick out one or two, just a couple of misconceptions that you think people might have with your organization or with foster family? What would it be that you could help educate people on what the misconceptions are?
I think in fostering, the misconception is that people are in it for the money. And I will tell you that's never the case. Yes, foster parents do get a stipend every month from the state of Illinois. I will tell you that Illinois ranks 47th in stipend across the nation. And so it's not a job you get into for money. The other thing I think is people say, oh, I could never do that. I'd get too attached. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to get attached. You're supposed to love these children like they're your own. I couldn't believe before we did it how I could love a child that was not mine. Now I wonder, how could you not? They will change your life. You'll learn as much from them as you do yourself. You've got to get attached. And yes, sometimes it's painful. But as foster families, we're called to put the child's needs, the child's emotions ahead of our own selfishness, if you will. So yeah, you may get your heart broke, but at the same time, you may change a life permanently, and lives that follow that one.
Self-sacrificing, definitely the sign of a great servant in the community. And Les, thank you again, you and your wife, for the years, the dedication that you have, and that you continue to do so. So everybody, please consider donating to Les and the Foster Family Resource Center of Southern Illinois. Thanks, Les, for coming on.
We appreciate it. Thank you, Tom, for all that you do.
Have a great evening.
You too.
All right, as we wrap up and get close to the end here, just a reminder, there are so many great nonprofits that we've had stories for today. Please go back, listen, watch. We're going to try to, next year, make a little change. We're going to try to do each one of our nonprofits, our organizations individually, so that way it's a little bit easier for everybody to go in, connect, and see which ones they want to contribute to or donate to. So we've got just a couple more, I think one or two left, and we'll be wrapping up our interviews this year with all the participants of Give SI. If you have been watching and you're like, hey, my nonprofit wasn't available to do that, or why didn't someone contact me? Well, you've got to contact the Southern Illinois Community Foundation in order to do that. So reach out, talk to Michelle or Byram, and they will be happy to hook you up for next year. But as we wrap up, please go out into the page, the donate page, scroll down and see which one of those nonprofits speak to you and help us beat our goal or meet our goal of $200,000. So we've got just a couple more left. We'll be seeing you very soon.